Chapter 4. The Puppet Theatre. 3 days later. As the boy crossed the road, he couldn't help but look over his shoulder to make sure that he was not being followed. He knew he was paranoid, but he had an uneasy feeling in his chest. He stopped to look up at the grey, ominous clouds gathering around him. He feverishly wished that he could turn back the clock and not be in that alley. Closing his eyes, he could still hear the ear-piercing sound of the gunshot. He could still smell the pungent smell of gunpowder hanging in the air, and he could still see the absolute terror in the woman's eyes as she slowly fell down to the ground. The other man, towering over her, was enraged while he had the gun in his hand. At that specific moment, the crazed man looked up and saw the boy standing there. The boy didn't ask any questions. He ran and ran as fast as he could. Since then, he had been on the run. Slowly, the boy walked over to the small fire made in the trash can where some of his fellow homeless buddies were sitting. As he came closer for some warmth, he heard them arguing about the weather. It was going to snow. Everybody always said it was such a magical time of year with the snow falling, but the boy hated it. He had done many things to survive, but what he saw on that night was something he never thought he would be able to stomach, let alone be witness to and still survive to tell another person that story. Suddenly, a cold wind ripped through the air, and the boy looked up straight into the face of the man who he was trying to avoid. There was a split second of utmost panic running through every nerve in his body, and then adrenaline was pumping as he shot over to the other side of the road. His legs felt as heavy as lead, but he pushed through and jumped over one of the railings as he landed in the same alley where he witnessed the horrific murder a couple of days ago. He could feel the man's warm breath on the back of his neck as he was closing in on him. The boy ducked behind a trash can and tried to jump over a wall when he lost his foothold and crash-landed on his backside. A loud yelp escaped his clenched mouth, and he was forced to grab his ankle in pain when he suddenly noticed he was not alone any longer. The boy looked up into the barrel of the gun pointed straight at his head. The shot rang against the walls, but the boy heard nothing anymore, laying in his own pool of blood. The shot could be heard south, southwest, south, southeast, east.